Hey y'all, uh, Jonathan Daggerhart here with the Drupal Camp or Drupal Asheville meetup group. And today we are going to look at Drupal 8 core user settings, permissions, roles, profiles, and really whatever. So here I am logged into my Drupal development website, and I'm just going to start going through. So excuse me while I get comfortable talking on recording for a moment. But so far what we've done with this website is we've only installed one module. That's the admin toolbar module, and that lets us get these nice little drop-down menus to work with. And additionally, we've set up a movie review website with custom content types and fields and other stuff. Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to look at making this a multi-user website. So the top level menu item, people, seems like it might be a reasonable place to start. Let's take a look at that. This is a list of users on the website. Whoops, that was my practice. Let me delete this user. We're going to add it again later. Yes, I do practice this. I even have your picture. All right, so let me go ahead and delete that. Now that's how you delete a user. But so this will be a list of users on your website and all their relevant information, such as whether they're blocked or not, what roles they have, which we'll look at, how long they've been around, etc. But this is not exactly what we need to do. What I want to do, another place where we can configure how the system is under that configure drop-down menu and people. And we're going to look at account settings. So this is the real generic settings on the Drupal website. This is where you can decide how people can register, if they can register for your website, and what sort of emails they receive when they register. So let's see. Who can register? Right now, anyone can register to this website, but the administrator, myself, has to approve their account first. And we'll look at some different options there. We're requiring email verification. We show this password strength indicator. And when I delete an account, so if I cancel a user account, this is the default option for what happens to their content. We'll look at all of this. This is kind of an easy to forget about place in the Drupal administrative area, because generally what you do is when you're building your website for the first time, you come here and you set all this up. Forget about it, because the way your website works doesn't really change that much once you have it set up. So here at the bottom are different emails for different settings that you can use that are sent to users when they sign up for your site under different conditions. So let's see here. Welcome new user created by administrator. So if I were, as an administrator, to go create a new user on the website, this is the email they would receive. So welcome, waiting approval. Right now, our settings are so that anybody can register, but an admin has to approve them. So at this moment, if someone were to register a new account on the website, they would receive this email while they're waiting for me to approve them. And all of these other email templates essentially let you configure what the user sees when they register. So that's all fine and good. I guess what I need to work with here is my use case of a movie review website of curated content where I invite specific guests to come post on this website. What I would do for this website is I would set it up to where only administrators can register for a new account. I wouldn't need to require email verification. That doesn't necessarily hurt anything. And since this is going to be a public site, if I do disable an account in the future, I do want to keep its content. So that's pretty good. Let's see, what else would we see in this area that's worth looking at? Basically, what you want to do is you just want to review this section before, pretty much once while you're setting up the website. That's about it. Do you find yourself coming back here to edit these settings very much?
No, and sometimes I forget they exist.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what the brackets are?
Yeah, absolutely. So these emails that we're seeing down here are templates. And what makes them a template is that they have dynamic information that is inserted when the email is sent to the user. So this little pattern we see here where it's open bracket and user colon some other information, close bracket, is what Drupal calls a token. So available here, it tells me at the top, these are the available tokens to my email. So that if I wanted to provide a link to the website in this email for some reason, I would just merely copy this site colon URL token and paste it into this email template. Now, when I receive this email, all of these tokens will be replaced with relevant dynamic, essentially content for the website or the user sent. So let's see. We can test this out. I'm sure I can log into an email or something. So I'm going to say admins can register email. So this will be the email, new user created by admin, that will receive. And let's just edit this a little bit. Hi there, guy. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to register a new account, check that email for that account, and we should get this email with all of these tokens replaced with relevant information, as well as our edits. So I'm going to save that real quick. Now what I need to do is actually log into an email. Perfect. All right. We'll just pretend like, whoop, little recursion there. We'll just pretend like that I'm not showing my private email to the whole world. Everybody don't look while I'm checking my email. And so let's just go ahead and get started by making a new user. So I'm going to go to Hey. All right. That was interesting.
But you didn't know he was on live TV.
Yeah, we got you. So I'm going to go here at the top to people and add new user. And I'm going to invite, let's see, this new user is going to be April, unless one of you guys wants to be the new user. Yeah, any takers? All right. April test user, sure, at the email address. So the username, there we are. Super top secret password. That's definitely not weak. And let's see. Okay, so the status for this user will be active. They can log in. Roles for this user we'll look at later. I do want to notify the user of the new account. That should send the email that we're looking for. And additional user configuration profile information. We'll come back to that later. For now, let's just go create that new account. See if we can receive an email for said account. Let's see, I got that meetup email. That's not right. That might take a moment. We can wait to see that number one tick over there. It does tell me that a welcome message has been sent to the new user, and we can actually visit that user's page. All right. Let's see. Really should have cleared this email out before using it live. Let's see if it went to my spam. Oh man, there's no telling what's in my spam. This is just getting worse and worse. Let's wait for that email. Worst case scenario, it doesn't send because my development environment's not set up exactly right. But it should. So we made a new user who now has access to log into the website and can do different things. They have permissions throughout the website that are unique to their role. But actually, they don't have a role right now, and we need to talk about what roles are. Roles and permissions.
Does April drink a lot of beer?
Not yet, she doesn't.
April drinks 0 beer.
See the block on that?
Yeah, that was an example. I guess we installed a second module called Bureau Clock. Let me get rid of that get rid of some distractions here. Somewhere in my blocks area, there we are. Move that block to nowhere. Save. There we go. And that'll get that out of the sidebar. So I'm beginning to think this email is never coming. No additional spams. Let me make sure I'll check the email address. So I guess what we're looking at here is a user's profile page. This profile is very empty because we just created it, and we haven't actually set up user profiles to be special in any way. But generally, the same way that you can visit a node in Drupal at node/the node ID, each user you can visit by visiting that user, the route user / and their user ID. So this user is user ID number 6. I'm going to edit this and check the email address I gave it. I mean, that seems right. Can't tell you why that email didn't make it to me. This is pretty much a terrible example. But we're going to move on. So really, to test this out appropriately, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into a new private window where I'm going to log in as April to the website so that we can see what I see as the administrator and what April sees as a user. And if you want me to stop using you as an example, now would be the time to let
It's
me
okay.
know. Okay. All right, so we got our d8 meetup.dev. And I'm going to log in here. And I think we gave it a super good password. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that's worth noticing is that April, the user April, when she logs in, does not have this admin menu at the top that I have, this thing. And that's because she doesn't have permission to use that administrative toolbar. Let's see if I can get that just right. Okay. And so now would be a good time, I think, to talk about permissions and how they work in Drupal. So I'm going to go to People at the top and Permissions. And we're going to take a look at this big page of this really important page to Drupal, where all the permissions, all your ability to access one thing or another in Drupal, it comes down to a checkbox or two on this page. The way permissions are assigned. So in Drupal, you don't assign permissions directly to a user. Instead, you make a concept of a role, and you assign permissions to a role. Out of the box, Drupal has 3 roles that are pre-configured to sort of very baseline, simple settings. The anonymous user is a guest on your website. That is somebody who is not logged in. An authenticated user is a role that every logged in user has. Any account on your website is an authenticated user. And then we have this administrator role, which automatically receives every permission in the system. That way, as if I assign a user the administrator role and I add new modules which add new permissions, they automatically gain access to everything throughout the site. So let's just take this, let's just go down this list and examine it a little bit. Each module in Drupal has its own permissions, generally, in the core modules, and that's what we're seeing right here. So the block module has a permission called administer blocks. And the only role at the moment that has that permission to administer the blocks is the administrator. Additionally, the comment module has its own permissions, such as administering comments and how comments are configured throughout the site. But also just simply the ability to post the comments and view the comments are permissions in the system. So that if I were to remove this check for the anonymous user, guests who are not logged into my website would no longer be able to even see comments made on nodes throughout the site. We'll leave that checked for now. So since we know that our new user, April, is definitely an authenticated user, we know that she has access to everything in this middle column. So this user should be able to post comments, not require approval for her comments, and view comments throughout the site. Additionally, all of these built-in Drupal, every Drupal module we've enabled may have permissions. This is important if you, while developing a site, you may enable new modules and you may find that you're having trouble, that a user has trouble using those modules or can't use them at all. And that's likely because a new module added a new permission to your system that you didn't give anyone access to. So this is, I'm going to keep this sort of in overview mode, and we'll come back here and we'll mess with these permissions and see how they affect things. Excuse me. So fields can have their own permissions. Filters, just how, what sort of text format you have while editing content. And nodes. So this is one that we're going to look at a little bit more. So all the content in Drupal that has a URL is called a node. And each node type has its own set of permissions. So we actually currently have three node content types, four content types in our system. We have the article, the basic page, the director, and the movie review. And each of these will have a full set of permissions automatically created for you. So I haven't added any new permissions on my own on purpose, but when I created the movie review content type, it automatically created permissions for that content type that I can enable. And here they are. So I'm going to assume, just to keep this sort of a simple example, I'm going to assume that April, I created an account on this website for April to be able to post new movie reviews. Well, right now, I can see that she does not have any way to do such a thing. Let's go over to her account and look. Let's see, articles, we got our homepage, my account. Okay, yeah, I don't really see any way to create content. Let's even try to go directly to the node add page. Access denied. So at the moment, since generic authenticated users cannot create any content, this user cannot create any content. Excuse me. So as you can imagine, there are many of these things to go through, and it may seem like a lot, but it's actually very easy to use and very powerful. So I'm going to, let's just keep going with this. I'm going to go ahead and give authenticated users the ability to create new movie reviews, to delete their own movie reviews, and I think that's it. Oh, edit their own movie reviews. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and save these permissions. Now back over here as the April user, if I refresh, I'm now able to create a movie review. Now, I sort of cheated and went to this page automatically. I'm wondering if there's any built-in navigation to this. I don't see any. So as the site administrator, I would probably want to create some link, some way for authenticated users to visit the page where they can create movie reviews. But I'm just going to browse there manually now. And here we are. So we should be able to, let's just go ahead and do this. So somebody name a movie.
Prestige.
Prestige. Perfect. And we're going to assume that this is about magic and stuff. It's a good movie. We're going to need a movie poster because I made that field required. We're going to need to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. What do you think? 1 to 5, Prestige.
5.
5 it is. All right. And it's going to have to fit into some genres. Some we have so far are sci-fi. I think that's sort of sci-fi. There's like some Tesla electricity magic going on there. Does it fit into any other genres?
Yeah, absolutely confusing.
Confusing. The genre confusing. All right. Now let me go get a movie poster real quick. One of these will do just fine. All right. Blammo. And I'll upload that movie poster. Prestige movie poster is the alt text on this image. And I think that's good. So let me click save. And there we are. I've created content on the website. It's appearing in my block on the left. If I go to the home page, we should see that it is now at the top, and it is submitted by April, the user. And so this user was able to do this because I gave permission to all authenticated users to create movie reviews. So not only do we have these 3 built-in Drupal roles, but we can add our own. And it's very simple. All we have to do is name one. For example, maybe we don't want every authenticated user to be able to create a movie review. Maybe that's a special type of user. So let me make a new role. I'm going to go to People at the top and Roles. I'm going to add a new role. And all there is to adding a new role is naming that role. So I'm going to call this something like Critic. That sounds like somebody that would provide a movie review, right? Is that how you spell critic?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we're going to go with that. Save. All right, and that's it. A role is just a named thing. And right now, that named thing doesn't have anything special going on about it at all. But if we go back to the permissions page, we can make it so that a critic role has its own permissions. Very simply. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to change it so that not all authenticated users can create movie reviews, but only critics can. Movie review, create, delete own, edit own. So I think that's pretty good. And I'm going to save that. So now that I've changed that, if I go back over here and look as the April user, I'm no longer going to be able to add new movie reviews. And that is because this user no longer has those permissions. Let's take a look. I'm going to go up here as an administrator. I'm going to go back to the list of people, which is that top level menu item people. And I'm going to see that the April user has no roles. That's not completely true. It does have the role of authenticated user. It's just not telling you that. Essentially, every account in your system has the role authenticated user. That's something to know. Here, if I edit the account, it's more clear. I've got this checkbox that I can't uncheck. It is authenticated user. And also I have my new role, critic. Now, if I simply check this box, critic, and save, that will now give this user access to all the permissions that the role critic has. So if I go back here and refresh, we can now create movie reviews again. It's pretty simple. Now, one thing to note about roles and permission, or roles, I suppose, in Drupal is that they're cumulative, I suppose. They add up together. So a good way to organize your permissions in Drupal is to make many roles that each have, I guess many is relative. It depends on how complex your system is. But many roles that each have a small set of permissions. For example, let's see, right now we have, so our critic can create movie reviews, but we don't have another role that can create articles, just generic articles on the website.
What about authenticated user?
Authenticated user, I haven't assigned that permission. I could do that.
I would expect any authenticated user to be able to create articles.
Well, it just depends. I guess it depends on my website. In this instance, authenticated users can comment, and that's it. We're just going to keep it that simple. Let's go ahead and set that as a rule for our website. That in order to leave a comment on the website, you have to create an account, and that is really all authenticated users can do. That's the only special thing we'll give them. Additionally, I suppose they'll be able to create profiles which just sort of support their comments, but we'll look at that. So
we're going to set up a new role for somebody to create an article, like a contributor,
yeah,
author, or something.
That's a good idea. What do you want to call it? Let's go to roles.
Contributor, I guess.
Okay, I like it. Contributor. All right, so we create a new role. And again, nothing really special about that. That's just some word that means whatever really I need it to mean. And now when I go back to permissions, we have a new column for contributors. And I'm going to scroll down and give, let's see. I'm going to find the node section. I'm going to look for article nodes. We say that contributors can create, delete own, and edit own articles. I think I missed that checkbox. There we go. All right. So each of these roles is really specific about what it's able to do. You can create super roles, I guess, that can do lots of different things, but this is the way I like to organize it. So now I want this user, April, to be able to submit both movie reviews and articles. So I'm going to go back and edit her user. I'm going to go to people. I'm going to find the user I want to edit. Click edit. And now I'm going to give her both the critic and the contributor role. I'm going to save that. And now when April visits the URL that I could link to as the administrator, to where you can create new content, she has the option to create articles or to create movie reviews. Pretty simple, I think. And that, to me, is the Drupal permission-based system. I mean, essentially what you do is you, as a new site administrator, you go into permissions and you sort of get a sense of what access you can grant people. You divide up different people by what they should be doing on the website. You name roles, you create roles for different activities or different access people should have. And then you just assign users any number of roles they need to accomplish their job. And the only thing really to sort of keep up with here is that as you add new modules to your site, those modules will add new permissions to your system. So let's take a look and see if we can find something like that in our big list of modules. Let's see. Book would do it. Book is another content type. Forum is another content type. I'm going to try to find something that's not just a node type, which I cannot do. All right, we are going to enable the forum content type. And I'm going to just enable this module, install this module on the website. And take a look at, I'm going to scroll back down here and take a look at this. So at a glance, all of this stuff is sort of hidden, but all of these arrows imply that there's more information to learn about these modules. And you can actually see that each module will link to its permissions from this module's page. So if I were to download a new module, install it into the website, and open this up, ideally, if that module is built correctly, it'll have a link right here to the permissions specifically for that module. So here we are, and the one permission this module enabled is administer forums, which the administrator already has access to. Additionally, I know that this the way forums work in Drupal is that it creates a new content type called forum. And so I bet if I scroll down here through the node section, yep, there we are. So we have a new content type based permissions for this module. And that's kind of the trick. Let me go back to show that one more time. When you enable a new module on your site, you want to click this description so that it opens up. And ideally, it should offer you a quick link to the permissions for that module, a quick link to configure that module, and additional help for that module. So I'm going to uninstall that just for the sake of keeping this clean. And while I do that, any questions so far about users, roles, and permissions?
Can a user be set up to have rights for a specific period of time, like a year? Have the role expire in a year? Is that something that's possible?
Not out of the box, but you could certainly set that up. If there's not, I know that there are, that sort of module definitely exists for Drupal 6. Positive it has to exist for Drupal 7 because it's pretty common to sell people access to your site. And the way that's done in Drupal is you essentially sell a user a role, and that role expires after time. So no real simple one-click way to do that, but it's definitely possible. I actually can't uninstall this module without going through and deleting some data, so I'm just going to leave it for now. We have a forum now. Let's see. Additionally, I'm just going to keep going here. If we look at roles, say you add a new role, this contributor, and we don't really want to deal with, you've had the website for 2 years, and if you look at this permission page, it makes you sick with how many checkboxes are on the page, and the page loads real slow, rather. So another quick sort of tip or shortcut is that you can actually just edit the permissions for one single role at a time if you want. And that is done by going to your list of roles and clicking on this drop down next to a role and clicking edit permissions. So if you really want to focus on making a new role or tailoring your role's permissions, you can do it here without all the extra checkboxes. Any other questions or?
Can we look at the people page again?
Yeah.
What is the actions drop down?
These actions are just operations you can perform on multiple users at one time. So if I needed to, let's see, what are my options here? Well, you can add roles, you can remove roles, etc. If I wanted another way that I could modify this user is I could check this box next to the name, and I could choose what operation or action I want to perform on this user. Like maybe we want to remove the critic role. And then I could click apply, and that will apply it to all the users selected. So this is just a way to easily modify many users at one time. And that was fast. Additionally, all these boxes at the top will let you find users in your system. I'm going to go back and add that role back to this user for now, clicking apply. But say, you know, you have a website with thousands of users and you only want to see critics. Here at the top, you can filter by that by just changing this role filter to critic and filtering. And now we see only users with that role. And any of these other number of filters, maybe you want to just see who has access to a specific permission, or you want to search by email or username. All of those, this is just a handy way to dig into the users of your system.
If you want to link the users to like a payroll system for a larger company, and a new employee comes in and you want that payroll user data to automatically update a role, is that something, or likewise delete? I guess it's more customization, I guess.
Yeah, generally integrating with another system is almost always going to involve custom coding. But I mean, it just depending on the system, there's a chance there's a module for that. But that specific question of how to integrate a user directly with a payroll system makes me think of custom code. And also to some degree, so let me get a little theoretical here. So you can certainly do that with custom code. But also, I'm a big fan of, does that need to be automated at all? You know, if your company's small enough, then it's almost never going to be worth it to do a big integration. Like if you have less than 100 employees, then when you lose an employee, it would take one person 3 minutes to delete that account or remove a role, as opposed to 100 hours of developing a custom automated system.
Bot accounts as well. So like if you had a user come in and let's say the authenticated user right now can make comments, and you don't like their behavior in the comments, you can block them and they can no longer log in at all.
Yeah.
But their account still exists.
Yeah, that's true. So let's do that. Let's block this new user. So I'm going to use this handy little actions menu and block all selected users. What happens if you block the administrator?
Don't do it. Don't even try.
Okay, we're not going to explore that. But for now, I'm going to block this April user. And I'm interested to see what happens since they're logged in over here if I hit refresh. I bet it's going to log me out, but let's see. Yep, access denied. I now have a login link at the top, which means I was logged out. So if I try to log in, let's see what message I get. Is not active or is blocked. So this is really useful if you need to retain that past data. You want the user to still exist in the system, or you're just sort of temporarily blocking them for some reason. The user status, and let's see that when editing an actual user. Generally, I've never seen another status. I wouldn't be surprised if Drupal could extend that. But generally, the only two statuses I've ever dealt with are blocked and active. So I'm going to set this user back to active. Now I bet I can log in over here. Yep, there we go. Let's see here. Okay, so any questions before we move on to profiles? All right, well, out of the box in Drupal, the user has one profile field. Now, it may look like there's a lot going on here with username and password and email, but the only field that is actually a part of the user's profile is this picture field right here. And I can prove that by looking at the administrator side of things. So in Drupal 8, almost everything is an entity. which we've discussed in a previous meetup, but let me review. What that means is that the same way that we can edit a content type, let's look at the content type, movie review, we can manage fields for this content type where we add different data points that we want to track about every movie review that's added to our system. In Drupal, a node is an entity, and all entities are fieldable. And that means we can add custom fields to it. Well, in Drupal 8, users are also entities in such a way, and we can add fields to them. And that's how we create a profile for a user in Drupal 8. So I'm going to go to Configure and People, Account Settings, and way over here on the right, underneath all these hover things. Well, let me just click on Account Settings. We'll have tabs at the top. So I can manage the fields for users. So here we have this user picture field, which is of the field type image, and that becomes this that the user sees when editing their account. So if I'm going to set up let's go ahead and set up more of a fully featured profile for users in our system. I'm going to add 2 fields just to keep it simple. One is the user's real name, the full name, and another will be a short bio for the user. So this first one, I'm just going to make a simple text field, text plain. We're just going to call it full name. Additionally, if we wanted to track the information differently, we could have 2 separate fields, one for first name, one for last name. But I'm just going to keep this pretty simple. And let's see, so the name of the field is full name. Some help text is, please type your full name. And I don't know that it's required. What do you think? Is this field required?
Yeah.
Nah, good call. Save that. And so now that if I go back over here and look at this user page where I'm editing the user, hit refresh, we now have this new field here at the bottom called full name. I'm going to go ahead and add another field for their bio. And that field will be text formatted with summary. I'll show you why shortly. This will just be called bio. This field only has 1 value. And please provide a short description of your entire life. That sounds right. And I'm going to allow, this special type of field allows you to write a summary. So I'm going to allow a summary input for that. Click Save. And now, just to prove that it worked, I'm going to go back over here to this page and hit refresh. And now a user can provide a bio of themselves.
Where do you key the summary?
I'm sorry?
Where do you enter the summary?
Oh, yeah. The summary is going to be created automatically, I believe. Let's see. Well, I'll go get some lorem ipsum here in a moment. So we call this April. That's your full, do you want your real name on this? April Smith. And
It's kind of too late, but okay.
we can fix that in post. Let me get some lips on here. 5 paragraphs all I do. Okay, wait, I'm back. And let me just throw that in there. And so the summary, if I click save, the summary should be the first paragraph. Now, maybe I'm missing something, but in Drupal 7, you could actually choose your summary explicitly. Are you familiar with what I might be missing here, or is that just not a feature in Drupal 8?
Maybe we need to look at the form display settings and see if there was something there.
Okay, yeah. So let's do that. So we've added these fields here on this tab, and we can manage the way the form looks here on the Manage Form Display tab. And this is everything in the user profile. So I'm going to group our information a little better. I'm going to put the picture down here with the full name. And I'm going to see what our options are. So the bio, what are our options? Not a lot of clarity here. 3 summary rows. Save that. I'm not sure that really provided me with any additional information. Honestly, I can't tell you what's going wrong here.
And we can save it and then view it as the summary. If you change the display mode and see if it's picking up those first 3 lines or what it's doing.
Is that
Yeah.
summary the same as what Drupal 7 News calls a tease or whatever?
Yeah.
User.
Okay. So let's go look at the managed display. I'm going to change this. And I'm just I'm poking around here without really describing what I'm doing because I want to see the outcome. It's just there's not an explicit area to set the summary in.
Was there a secondary setting when it, because this is trimmed 600 characters? Yeah,
Just the number of characters.
it's different from 7.
Yeah. Excuse me, do you want to take over for me?
And we're gonna take a short break.
Yeah. Can we pause the hangout?
I don't know.
I can click stop, but that's probably going to upload it somewhere.